Hi everyone, and welcome back to Pause for Self-Care. Just a quick note, I've changed things up a little bit on my channel, so from now on, if you want to follow mental health videos, these will be on a Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. My lifestyle videos, reviews, vlogs, etc., those will be on a Sunday at 6 p.m. So yeah, I will try to be there for most of them to chat along with you in the live chat. So please do subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when the videos that you want to watch are going live, and chat to me in top chat. Well, live chat. So yeah, let's get on with today's video.
In all of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives. In all of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel.
Okay, so I thought I would cover a few subjects that help childhood trauma victims. Well, we're no longer victims, we're now survivors, and we're trying to get on with our lives. But, yeah, big but, there are so many things that are just so freaking confusing. Because relationships, you always tend to find the same damn relationships, like your abusive parents. That is so frustrating, isn't it? It was for me. I didn't quite understand how to self-parent myself, or I didn't even understand what self-care was. So yeah, there are a lot of subjects to cover, and I would really like to cover some of them with you. Today, because abuse is so normalized, I want to speak to you about why it was so normalized. And I have a few notes that I made, so bear with me. Okay, so you normalized the abuse because you were born into it. You didn't know any different. That's how you were treated. And you thought, well, that's how it should be, isn't it? If we don't know any different, how are we going to behave towards it? How are we going to prevent generational trauma? In other words, it came from our parents, it's gone to us because that's how we just believe things are done, and moves on to our kids, and so the story goes. But we can change that. When you go out and you look at the way your friends were treated in school by their parents, and you start to realize, well, I'm not treated like that. You start to see that things are different. Even as an adult and having children, I used to see things very differently. Like, gosh, I was working with a lady and her daughter had a baby. And I just had a baby. And she was, I'm going to give my daughter a little bit of a break and take the baby tonight. I'm so excited to see my grandchild. My mother was, I'm not here as your babysitter. Straight. You see, it's just light and dark, if you want to call it that. Your abusive parents normalized the abuse. And how did they normalize it? Let me give you an example. Say, for instance, I was a matric. When I was a matric, gosh, those were years ago. My daughter finished matric last year. That gives you an idea. And I was called to do the dishes, but my brother could be outside playing. I was called to do the dishes while I was studying. No, you must come now. You need to stop studying. So I'd come home. I'd walk myself home from school with high heels, because we wore high heels in matric. Have a quick lunch, get stuck into homework, and then you've got to study too. But no, you've got to come and do your chores. No, your brother can play. He doesn't do chores. And that is abusive. It really, really is, when you're trying to get further in your life. I see it now as what it is and what it was. Yes, that might not be physical abuse, but it's abuse for my future. I did experience physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. I had all of it, but that is just one example to show you. They normalize it. They make you think, you just have to do it. And how did my mother make me think that I had to do it? Oh, your granny went to play bowls every Tuesday and I had to cook dinner no matter what. Yes, that was once a week. I had to do every day of the week. She maybe cooked twice a week. I always had to do the dishes with her. I never had a break from it. My brother was out playing. My brother would come in and mess his grass-filled soccer boots all over the carpet after I'd just vacuumed it. And guess who had to vacuum it again? Me. Not him. And believe me, he was old enough to operate a vacuum cleaner. You teach your children from young, from age-appropriate chores. You get them involved in the kitchen. You get them cooking. You get them knowing that, that things have got to be tidied up. You get them doing little things. Like my son, his chore was to feed the cats. Obviously assisted, but he enjoyed it so much he did a project for his school showing how he fed the cats and cleaned the bowls and what have you. That's the way to do it. You have to teach them from young and set an example from young. And unfortunately, an abuse example makes you the maid. Makes you the parent's caregiver. Sad, but true. Abuse can be actually normalized out in social media. It can be normalized in the media itself. And also, well, other people normalize the abuse. Oh, but I'm sure your mother didn't mean it that way. She really loves you so much. Do you really know what's going on behind the scenes? Do you? No. The abusers make it the victim's fault. So, how's this for a crazy story? I was in college and I was writing an exam. I used to stay with my grandparents during the week and then go to my mother on the weekends. Anyway, on the Monday, I had an exam on the Monday, as I said, and she needed to go to a film shoot in the middle of Joburg. And she wanted me to go to the film shoot in the middle of Joburg, but I had an exam. So the Sunday night, the car breaks down. What does she say? I did something to the car to make it break down. And just to add to the fantasy, I didn't physically do something to the car so it broke down. I mentally did something to the car to make it break down. So I wished that the car would break down, and it broke down. And now it is my fault that the car is broken and she can't get to this film shoot in the center of Johannesburg. Didn't I want to get to an exam on the same day? Didn't I? Just asking for a friend. Gosh. Fear and shame is used to keep the victim quiet. Have you ever heard of the saying, what happens in my house stays in my house? Abuse victims know it very well. Don't you dare tell your grandparents what happens in my house. And if I did, that would be walloping evening. Again. You abuse me, I tell somebody, I get abused again. So I shut up. So I don't get protected. And I'm a child, I deserve to be protected. Yes, abuse from 5 years old until you're 22. Yeah, you are still a child in the house and you do deserve to be protected. You deserve to be protected after that too. Nobody deserves to be abused in any form. The abuse is painful to acknowledge. Yeah, look, I kept my abuse quiet until my kids were little. When I realized that I just couldn't keep quiet anymore and that I needed to speak. And when people said, you didn't deserve to be treated like that, I was like, really? I still had that, really? Out in the world today, there's this weird paradigm where you aren't allowed to feel abused or mistreated because somebody else was abused and mistreated worse than you. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter how severe or how little it was. Abuse is abuse. And we need to normalize that abuse is abuse. We need to normalize that it affects people on so many levels. It affects your mental health. It affects the way you live your life. It affects the way you raise your children. It affects how you react to things. It just needs somebody to turn around and say, hey, look, this isn't right. It is not normal. Emotional abuse is not right, not normal. Physical, sexual, financial, also, no, it's not normal. So, yeah, these are just a few parts of the bigger picture. Please do head by my blog, because as my motivation video from last week, I will also put a blog up speaking about the subject. I will give you a little bit extra information, and also follow my socials. My blog's link is always in the description box below, as well as my socials. Although, if you're looking for me, look for pause for the number self-care. That's my handle right through YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And right now, all I'd like you to remember is to pause for self-care. And yeah, follow this series if you find it interesting, and share it with your family and friends. Thank you so much for joining me today.